I also think something I always thought was sexy that a guy would do, if he was like on the other side of the bar and I'd be turning and looking around when they would hold up the drink and they do like a little air cheers and a nod, kind of like something out of like Walker, Texas Ranger. I always thought that was really hot.
I was thinking about The Great Gatsby with Leonardo DiCaprio with
that
fireworks
too.
going off behind him. And all
Just
that.
a little cheers, or when you're walking by someone, just the nod, like the nod, or like hey ladies, like yeah. I always thought that was kind of nice.
Do you guys approach women nowadays in Austin? I know Austin's like a pool of just single people, but do people actually approach the opposite sex?
Yes and no, and I think it's kind of frustrating because and I think maybe you might not see as much of this in San Antonio, but like the Austin's just a hotbed for tourists and bachelor parties. So I think like when you're out and about, because I'm trying to think of the last time I went to like Rainy or something like that. There's almost like this feeling of like, if you see a group of guys approaching, it's like, these are guys here on their worst behavior on a bachelor party or something like that. And I hate that that's sort of like the thought that runs through my mind. But like it does, just because of how bachelor party centric it is. It's like, these guys they're up to a prank. They're on their worst behavior. They're going to say something. So there's a lot of that I think maybe has people a little bit like, what's this person's deal? But I really think like dating app culture has made it where you don't really have to, approach people. People feel like they don't have to, or they can do it, virtually approach people without being turned down. Because, you never know if you can just tell yourself that they, didn't see your profile at all versus swiping left on you, and you just don't have to deal with the rejection from it. So I think, I think you see a lot less of it. I feel like when I had been approached, it was in settings that were more, there was like a common interest or something like that going on. Like it wasn't so much like bar, everyone off with their own group, like large scale parties where it was like friend to friend, like invited, closed event, a lot more of that, where it was, you could kind of know that the people there all lived there. They were friends with the same people. I think you would see a bit more of like approaching. I feel like the last time I was really like approached, it was like I think it was like a tailgate or something like that. Like a Texas tailgate. Yeah.
Okay.
Can I just say, Austin, part of what I love about Austin is honestly how like approachable of a city it is. Like I have always, since I've been here, I'm like, and I have a fun job and, I do fun stuff, but like, I just feel like Austin sometimes feels like summer camp because everybody's just moved here. Everybody's new. And so everybody wants to make friends and talk to people. And so like their guard is like a lot more down out here, honestly. Like I approach people. Or I used to before I was, dating, but like and people are like, for the most part, really cool about it.
Total contrast to LA, right? I'm assuming.
Oh my God. That's
you couldn't do that in LA?
LA is exclusive. LA is like, I don't need new friends and I don't want anybody. Other women are a threat and like that kind of thing, but I don't feel that here.
Okay. Good to know. Again, that's a good reference point in my mind. Cause again, I've never kind of been social in LA and to know that. Which you feel is awesome is like the norm for me, because that also translates in San Antonio. It's got that old town, small town feeling. Yeah, so I love it. So, and the reason I asked that is because, like I said, I remember I've mentioned this to Charlotte plenty of times that I approached women when I was dating. I would go up to women, a lot of them would be shocked, like, "Oh my God, like and I thought I'd scare them. Like, no, guys just don't approach women anymore. Guys actually approach because back to Snapchat. There was a way that if your profile was public, there was some sort of map where you can see who was around you. You remember that? And you can message them or something, or know their name, or ping them. So
I didn't know it was that sophisticated. I know there's like a map where you can like click on hotspots, and like I remember I used it a little bit to like when South by Southwest was going on, like things would pop up, and it was like, what's going on over here? So you knew when to like bounce around. I don't think it shows you like individual people, but
it was their avatar or something.
Yeah, like I do remember like when I had gotten out of a relationship with someone in 2019, we were still friends on like Snapchat or something, and I could see like where his avatar was, and it was kind of like I was getting so mad because of where he was like going out to bars and stuff. I was like, where is he?
Infuriating.
But I think you have to be friends with them. But
yeah, I remember they were telling me guys preferred approaching women that way virtually. I'm like, oh, that's just not me. But anyway, I hated the Snapchat route because I hated my first impression being a text. I don't know what to text or what to say or what to turn off, what isn't. I hate that. I really prefer the organic approach. So And then I hear all these guys again, they message me, they say they can't approach women. I'm like, says who? And like, well, you hear all these stories. I'm like, okay, have you experienced it? Have you personally been rejected by women? Have you tried? Like, well, no, because I hear this. What's the point? I'm not 6 foot tall. So they're like putting all these obstacles in their head before they even try. So they're throwing themselves out of the game. They're not even playing or practicing for the game. They just gave up. And it's heartbreaking. And I hate that there's so much out there. Like, I know, Charlotte, you and I are total advocates against what we see on the Red Pill podcast and all these other bro podcasts. It's total bullshit. And I just hope more guys go out there and just interact with people, like in the Austin space. I hear it's totally just welcoming and just like it's a nice place you want to be around. People you want to be around.
Totally. And I think too, I think when everyone thinks about like approaching people, it always seems like they think you have to go up to somebody and declare how beautiful you think they are. Like, I think honestly, just what are you drinking? And if they say vodka soda and turn around back to their group of friends, that's a no. And if they say vodka soda, what about you? Like, what's that? Then it's like it starts a conversation. Like, and if they just turn back to their friends, like, what are they going to say? Oh, this guy asked me what I was having to drink. Like, oh, that's so weird. Like, no, it's I think if someone's interested, they'll talk to you, and like you give yourself like kind of that cushion with those like lighthearted questions. I also think something I always thought was sexy that a guy would do, if he was like on the other side of the bar and I'd be turning and looking around when they would hold up the drink and they do like a little air cheers and a nod, kind of like something out of like Walker, Texas Ranger. I always thought that was really hot.
I was thinking about The Great Gatsby with Leonardo DiCaprio with
that
fireworks
too.
going off behind him. And all
just
that.
a little cheers, or when you're walking by someone, just the nod, like the nod, or like hey ladies, like I always thought that was kind of nice.
Yeah, it shows confidence. He's making eye contact. He's not shy. I mean, he's just assured of himself. Hell yeah. Why not do that? I always try to identify someone's their what's it. I call it a what's it. Like, everybody always has something on their persons, whether it's a shirt, a piece of jewelry, shoes, that identifies them for who they are. And I always approach with tattoos.
For me, that's what it is. That's what people approach me about, and I'm happy to talk about it. I like it.
Tell me the story behind this. What does this mean? Like, I would always talk about it. And I'd like, just like when we first started talking, I'm like, hey, this is the story of my life. I'm getting a sleeve, and it was like the barriers a person has. First off, you're not, from a guy standpoint, talking to a woman, you're not identifying something sexual. You're not calling them out like, damn, baby, you look at that ass or whatever. You're looking at something that's personal to them and that's on them, So you're calling that out and the barriers come down. And I think that's a great way to start a conversation. Then, hey, let's get a drink. I want to know more. And just go from there. Just don't make a big deal about it.
Totally. I love that too. Like, if it's a game day, like, wear the shirt for your team. Like, even if it's the opposing team, even if people are, if you're coming from another team and they're telling you hook 'em, and you hate the Longhorns, like, it's still an excuse to talk to someone. Like, maybe have some good jokes in your back pocket, but like a sports team's always a good one. A hat from like your hometown or something like that. And then if you notice stuff for other people.
Yeah. Like, and what I also do is I love horror movies. So I have like tons of horror movie t-shirts and heavy metal bands. So if I see another woman with like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre, we're like, oh, I love that movie. I do too. And then we'll start talking. I've even taught my son how to do that because he has a lot of horror movie shirts. So that's how he breaks the ice with his with girls. So when he goes to concerts and all that, I'm like, that's my son. It's awesome because, again, a graphic tee says a lot about him. Like what kind of music they like, where they've been, what tour they went to. It says a lot. There's a lot of information there. I don't want to say you can use, but they're telling you a lot about themselves without saying a damn word. And that's a great way to break the ice.